Morning.
Hello, good morning all.
Good morning.
We'll wait a few minutes for other participants also to join us.
Okay, only one point. I'm here. Nice to meet you. I'm Lucas Cognamiglio in substitution of engineer Maria Teresa Russo for graded. So nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining. Nice to meet you too.
Okay. Bye. See you soon.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Once again, I believe we can start already. More people will be joining probably next minute, but I think it's a good time to start. Welcome to today's webinar with the title Green Hydrogen in Europe, Policies, Good Practices and Territorial Perspectives. My name is Izabela Kuśnierz, and I am the project manager in the Association of Municipalities Polish Network Energy City, a non-profit, non-governmental organization from Poland. We are working and collaborating closely with Polish cities in the area of energy efficiency, renewables, climate and energy planning, as well as climate adaptation and citizen education. It's my pleasure to be the host of this event and moderator today. Before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce you the context of today's event. Our association is one of the project partners in PRHyUS project, which means promoting renewable hydrogen utilization for sustainable and greener Europe. And within this project, we are meeting today. The main objective of our work in PRHyUS is to support regional policies in the context of green hydrogen by knowledge exchange and sharing good practices among different European regions. During this webinar, you will hear more about the project and our activities. I would like to now warmly welcome all the participants joining from different regions and different countries across Europe, but not only. We are very happy to see, on the one hand, the representatives of local, regional, and also national authorities, but also research institutions, energy agencies, businesses, and industry, and also everyone interested in renewable hydrogen and also energy transition. Special welcome also to our speakers, and many thanks for accepting our invitation for sharing the knowledge and your experiences during the sessions today. Yes, sessions, we built the agenda on 3 different sessions. In the first part, We will look at the hydrogen, market hydrogen topic in broader European context. We will explore the policy framework and also introduce you in more details our project, our activities, how we are trying to, how we are collaborating with different regions. In the second part, we will move more from policy to practice, as we invited some experts who will present you, I hope, inspiring examples of different kind of hydrogen initiatives from European regions. And finally, in the third part, we'll focus more on practical tools that could support local and also regional activities and authorities implementing them in the topic of hydrogen and its potential. We will conclude this event with the dedicated Q&A session. And now I would like to introduce you also the team supporting today's webinar. Together with me, and the event is being coordinated by Zofia Michlowicz, who will also moderate the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Hi, Zofia.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you today.
Thank you. And we are also supported by Martina and Aneta. If you experience any technical issues or have some questions, feel free to contact us via chat. Yes, and before we really begin, just some few housekeeping notes, rules. First of all, I would like to please keep your microphone muted during the presentation, except the speakers, of course, to avoid some noises in the background. Our event today, our webinar is being recorded. So if you prefer to not appear in this recording, please switch your camera off. If you will have any questions during the presentation, please just use the chat and write them in this chat. We will collect all the questions and address them during Q&A session at the end of the event. During this session, you will also have the opportunity to ask the questions live. So please use the raise hand option, and we'll invite you to speak and discuss your questions with our speakers today. Yes, I encourage everyone to actively participate this event and use this opportunity to ask the questions in the chat. Okay, with no further additional information, I would like to present you our first speaker, Mr. Ander Martinez Alonso from Free University, Brussels. Hello, Ander.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much for joining us today. Ander is a researcher specializing in energy system modeling, renewable energy integration, and multi-energy systems. He has been also involved in numerous European projects related to hydrogen and local energy systems. Today, Ander will present European hydrogen policy framework, some developments across Europe, and opportunities and challenges that renewable hydrogen can bring to the region and municipalities. Thank you, Ander, for joining. The floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for joining the webinar. My name is Ander Martinez Alonso. I'm a senior researcher at the PRHyUS University Brussels, and I'm also a technical advisory partner at the PRHyUS project. Over the next 25 minutes, I want to give a simple but practical map of green hydrogen in Europe. We'll look at mainly 4 things: how we got here, where the rules and the money stand today, what all of this means for regions and towns, and finally, a honest answer to the big question: is hydrogen really the miracle solution people sometimes claim? With that in mind, let's get started. Firstly, the policy story. How Europe went from the Paris Climate Agreement to today's strategy. Second, we will talk about where things actually stand right now, the rules for making green hydrogen, and how Europe is trying to fund it. Third, and this is the part maybe most relevant for everyone, what regions and municipalities can do. And the very practical obstacles in the way. And finally, and fourth, the honest big picture, how much hydrogen will really matter by 2050, and what is the actual state of things in this transition. So why hydrogen at all? Well, it all starts with the Paris Agreement of 2015, where the world agreed to keep global warming well below 2 degrees. Europe turned that promise into law, so it actually became binded by law. And the European Green Deal and the Climate Law commit the EU to cutting emissions by at least 55% by 2030 and to become climate neutral net zero by 2050. Now, if we look at what is the cheapest way to achieve those goals, is simply to actually use clean electricity directly, electric cars, heat pumps, and so on. But unfortunately, some things can't really run on electricity alone, making steel, for example, heavy chemicals, shipping, aviation. Those need either a renewable molecule or a clean fuel, not just electrons. And that's the gap that hydrogen is trying to fill. It's important to remember at this stage that hydrogen is not new as a fuel, as a molecule. Industry nowadays uses a lot of hydrogen, mostly like 96% made of fossil natural gas. And for instance, cleaning up only that, it's already 4% of global industrial emissions. It's not working. Yeah. So here's the last decade of policy and regulatory framework development at a glance. In 2020, Europe, I've already mentioned Paris Agreement and the in previous slide, but moving next, from 2020, Europe became one of the first countries to actually publish a hydrogen strategy with targets for 2030. In 2021, the big climate package Fit for 59 came into place, positioning shipping, aviation, and the use of renewable fuels. Then in 2022, after Russia invasion of Ukraine, hydrogen suddenly became more about energy security and resilience and not just a climate issue. From 2023 to 2025, we've seen a detailed rulebook arriving to describe how hydrogen needs to be produced and how it's going to be integrated in industry and the market. So with this in mind, we're going to move forward step by step. And tackling the REPower EU plan from 2022, I wanted to add that, suddenly in 2022, when Russian gas became a liability overnight, Europe's goal shifted to replacing those imports with homegrown or overseas imported energy. In that sense, hydrogen became an important tool, and REPower EU aimed at accelerating permits, doubling the target, 10 million tons produced inside the EU, another 10 million imported outside the EU by 2030. And at this stage, or with a bit of a retrospective view today, those numbers are political ambitions. So they were not bounded by law, such as the Paris Agreement or the Green Deal. And second, almost no one believes now that those targets will be achieved. So the third chapter mentioned is the Clean Industrial Deal from early 2025. And if the Green Deal set a bit of a destination and REPowerEU added a sense of urgency, this one asks a more kind of mature question on how do we do all of this without actually killing or driving our own industry out of business. Because the whole purpose of replacing hydrogen is really sustainability and resilience, is definitely not cost efficiency. So for hydrogen, this meant that we became, or Europe became, a bit more pragmatic about it and introduced the concept of low carbon hydrogen. So not perfectly green, not perfectly renewable, but still much cleaner than today's hydrogen production. And nowadays it's actually part of the toolbox. So the message at these states became clear. Brussels was shifting from setting targets to actually trying to deliver and materialize these targets. Before the rules that I will mention next, I want to give some quick targets for a reality check. Today, truly clean electrolytic hydrogen made by splitting water with clean electricity is still less than half a percent of Europe's hydrogen supply. And it's kind of a similar statistic at global level. Green hydrogen costs around €7 a kilo at best, and it's roughly double the cost of estimated hydrogen produced from natural gas. Worldwide, only about 4% of all announced hydrogen projects have reached final investment decision. I think it's around 7% for Europe. And so the real issue here is that the targets for 2030 seem likely unfeasible, and we need to re-ask ourselves, how ambitious should our targets be? How do we close this gap between press releases or what was announced and what is actually working plans? So that is what we call the implementation gap. Moving next, something that kind of complicated a bit the picture is that indeed we want to produce renewable hydrogen because we want to decarbonize. That's the ultimate goal, no? So the EU went a bit over the head to try to come up with a set of rules that define what is renewable hydrogen. And they use the technical label RFNBO, which means renewable fuels of non-biological origin. But well, you can just think about it as certified green hydrogen, right? And it has to pass, so actually to achieve this qualification or this certification, hydrogen needs to pass 3 tests. The first one is that the electricity, the new electricity used for producing this hydrogen needs to come from new renewable energy or additional energy sources. So it drives the building of new wind and solar installations rather than fighting or stealing clean power that could be otherwise used for direct electrification. 2, production has to be matched in time. So actually, when we are producing hydrogen, we need to verify that hydrogen is being produced with renewable energy. And 3, well, eventually this is done monthly or yearly now. The target is to achieve hourly resolution, so 24/7, 365 days a year. And 3rd, geographical correlation. This has to do a lot with the collocation of the plants, but also with the market integration. So basically, if an electrolysis plant is going to consume electricity from the grid, it needs to be within the same binding zone. All right, moving forward, these rules cause quite some controversy. They have been widely studied in the scientific literature, but also widely analyzed by the industry. And the thing is that due to all the complaints and insecurity and regulatory uncertainty, these rules are currently under review. So we are expecting that this year we will know a bit more about them. And what we're expecting is that they will be softened, pushing the toughest requirements out of the early 2030s, such as additionality or hourly time correlation. And they are hoping, the target that is being hoped to achieve is to reduce from those 6-7 euros per kilogram of hydrogen to at least 4. So it's closer to competitiveness with gray hydrogen. So the catch here is that if you are planning a project today, still, you are planning against moving rules and a moving regulatory framework, which under the stress of financial stress that hydrogen already causes, it's a source of uncertainty indeed. And it deters implementation. So low carbon hydrogen. Well, low carbon hydrogen was the, let's say, the halfway solution proposed by Brussels to keep competitiveness and still ensure a certain percentage of decarbonization, right? So we want to cut emissions by at least 70% over the whole life cycle of hydrogen. And whether we are closer to that or not, we call the hydrogen renewable or low carbon, green hydrogen or blue hydrogen, kind of, although the colors have to do more with the pathway. So, for instance, this new etiquette allows to natural gas with carbon capture systems to qualify as low carbon hydrogen. Grid electrolysis, including nuclear-powered electricity, can also qualify as low carbon hydrogen. And finally, emerging technologies such as, for example, methane pyrolysis could actually qualify also for the same label. Now, how do you make expensive green hydrogen competitive? Well, that's the mission or the goal of the European Hydrogen Bank. The Hydrogen Bank runs auctions, producers bid, and the winners get a fixed top-up payment for every kilo they produce. So it's a per kilo subsidy. And this per kilo subsidy will be taken or will last for up to 10 years, funded by Europe's carbon market revenues. So kind of like a retrofitting of the taxes from carbon markets go into the European Hydrogen Bank. There have been 3 rounds so far. The latest this spring, handing out just over €1 billion to 9 different projects. 2 details here. There are strict deadlines. So when you actually win the auction, you commit to deliver final investment decision within 2.5 years and operate within 5. So trying to close the gap again. And this is a subsidy that tackles both CapEx and OpEx. Moving forward. But subsidies on the supply side aren't enough. So only by giving away subsidies, we are not going to go anywhere, unfortunately. You also need to create an offtake. You also need to create or find the people or the entities that will purchase that green hydrogen. And Europe is trying to create these layers by law through 3 binding rules. The first and biggest, by 2030, 42% of all industrial hydrogen needs to be RFNBO, rising to 60% by 2030. The second target is aviation, and the third one is shipping. So we are going to target fuels through aviation and shipping. With these 3 in mind, Europe is aiming at creating a first set of off-takers for renewable hydrogen, which is a critical step for any power-to-gas project. There's one more piece, often forgotten, but to connect hydrogen producers with hydrogen off-takers, we actually need infrastructure, and hydrogen is particularly hard to store and transport. So we need pipes, and we also need market rules to connect these producers and buyers. In 2024, the hydrogen gas market package aimed at delivering solutions in this scale. So a new European body now, the ENO, coordinates the planning of future hydrogen grids across the continent, and is also working on the development of the rules for a hydrogen market, which is mimicking the one that ENSO-G does for gas. And the scale of this is big, actually. We are talking about more than 240 billion of investment for this hydrogen backbone. For regions, the practical takeaway is simple here. If you are near a planned hydrogen backbone, that completely can change the economics of your projects, basically. So it's something critical to look at when we are developing any kind of hydrogen project and policy. Now, the aforementioned implementation gap. So we're gonna get to the part that matters, or the numbers that show what's going on. The thing is that if we look at the announced projects in the last 4 to 5 years, we get a peak of projects that are exponentially growing. But when we actually look at the realized projects over time, we see a very different picture, which shows that only 7% of the projects are actually achieving final investment decision. If we look at this graphically, we can actually see, wait, I'm gonna get my laser. We can actually see that the projects announced by 2021, 2022, 2023 are actually increasing exponentially. But if we look down in the graph, the realized projects are actually very low. And this gap is what we actually call the implementation gap. If we put this in parallel with the known Gartner hype cycle graph, there's quite a parallelism between the peak of inflated expectations and actually the trough of disillusionment that connects the realized projects. So this is not to criticize the state of hydrogen, but just to refocus on where we actually are at. We want to reach the plateau of productivity. We want to cut through the inflated expectations, cut through the press, and get to deliver hydrogen where it's needed and where it makes sense. And now my slides are not working. Yeah, okay. So what actually stops local projects from getting built? What are the explanations for that implementation gap that we are seeing? The first one was already mentioned. It's uncertainty from the policy and regulatory part. The rules are still moving. The rules are changing from country to country. The rules in Europe are not the same as in the UK or in China or in the US. And we also have high capex and high opex. The Hydrogen Bank is trying to tackle this, but there's still a roughly 2-to-1 price gap in hydrogen, renewable hydrogen versus traditional hydrogen, and both purchasing and operating an electrolysis plant is expensive. So tackles both capex and opex. Then third, securing off-takers. Finding buyers leads to the classic chicken and egg problem that we see in emerging technologies. No one builds a plant without a committed customer, and no one commits to buying hydrogen without actually seeing reliable supply. So this leads to an issue of the chicken and egg. And four, data. We have seen this through the project. It's actually quite hard to get data. Due to confidentiality and due to the emergence of the technology, it's actually very hard to get the real numbers and really see through the noise to actually make better decisions, which gets even harder at regional or municipal level. The good news is that regions are just not spectators here, but they actually have 6 different levers. First, they can act as aggregators and anchoring demand together. So, for example, a bus fleet alone might not be interesting, but a bus fleet together with a fertilizer plant can really produce a core hydrogen off-taker. Second, planet and permits. One-stop shops and pre-approved land are among the cheapest ways to cut years and years of a timeline. Third, build the evidence. Local studies and mapping tackle that data problem head-on, and you will see some practical tools for this later today. Fourth, the risk with money. There's European funding, but also national and regional funding can be stacked on top of it to make projects more attractive. Fifth, the Hydrogen Valley model that links to the first one, the aggregation and anchoring of demand. So hydrogen valleys and clusters are a way to collocate production, infrastructure, and use. And it's definitely one of the most pursued strategies at a European level at the moment, not only for hydrogen, but also for renewable energy valleys in general. And six, convene. Public authorities have a very particular power and role, and is that they can ideally bring to the table together off-takers, operators, DSOs, potential producers. So making all the layers of stakeholders talk together at once can definitely impact the implementation of hydrogen projects. Now, let's go back to the big picture. How much hydrogen will actually matter by 2050? Well, there's different approaches. We have International Energy Agency with 2 different scenarios and IRENA with a third one. So we see that hydrogen will play a role from somewhere from 5% to 14% in the final energy consumption, final energy mix. We see that it will be concentrated in industry and long distance transport, but still there's a big gap. And regardless, if we go, for example, to the most challenging scenario, we have to almost multiply by 10 the current capacity. So it's definitely a challenge. And this brings me to the uses of hydrogen, right? Hydrogen in the energy transition is often referred as a Swiss knife. And just as a Swiss knife, when you want to go on a trip and you can only bring one tool, indeed, you bring a Swiss knife. But when you want to do a very specific task, maybe you want to change that Swiss knife by a screwdriver or by a hammer or by something specific, well, that really applies to hydrogen. Hydrogen can be used in many applications, but just because it can be used in many applications, it doesn't mean it has to. So we need to find where it actually makes the most sense and where we can start from. And in this sense, I didn't want to finish the talk without showing you the well-known hydrogen ladder by Michael Libre. And what we see here is a real classification of what applications of hydrogen are more interesting by comparing where it has the most cost competitive advantage and what task, for example, can be easily electrified. So we see on top of the ladder fertilizer, origination, methanol, hydrocracking, desulfurization, chemical feedstock, steel. So in line with what we have mentioned before, right? Then why isn't hydrogen a silver bullet? Well, because making it from electricity and then using it is actually still quite inefficient in terms of energy. That's why, for example, we see battery electric vehicles taking over at this stage in the market. So as a rule, what we can say is that wherever you can just use electricity directly, do it. That usually wins. But flip it around, refining fertilizers and chemicals which already use hydrogen and need a clean version, still shipping aviation, which have no realistic all-electric option, and hydrogen also can store energy across seasons. My rule on different applications. So from a perspective of rule of thumb, electrons first, molecules where electrons cannot go. So there's applications, we just need to work hard to actually tackle those. And finally, just my last slide to conclude. If I want everyone to take something home with them, some highlights, is that, well, the regulatory architecture is built, at least at European level, from Paris Agreement to Clean Industrial Deal, targets, definitions, funding. We are working hard on achieving a definition of what is renewable hydrogen and what is not, which is going to happen this 2026, which is a pivot year. We're going to update this regulation, but also there's an upcoming revised strategy, like a revised hydrogen, European hydrogen roadmap. So 2026 can be an inflection point for hydrogen. Then delivery is the bottleneck. We have a challenge with an implementation gap, not ambition. And that's where the hydrogen economy is decided. So that's where we really need to put the effort of current policy development. Then regions hold powerful tools, but they need to be able to implement them. So demand aggregation, permitting, data, valleys, and putting people to speak together can really determine which local projects take off and which doesn't. And finally, hydrogen is essential, but not universal. So let's focus first on those applications that actually have a clear role in decarbonization. With that, I just want to thank everyone for your attention. I don't know how we're doing in time. I cannot see my time here, but I'm happy to answer questions now or later. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anders, for this presentation. We have 2 questions in the chat, but I would like to prefer to keep them for the Q&A session and at the end. And now move to the next speaker, which is Alfonso Bonavita from the Campania region, Italy, the lead partner of PRHyUS project. Good morning, Alfonso.
Good morning.
Alfonso, in his presentation, will explain PRHyUS activities, how in the project we are contributing to the development of renewable hydrogen in Europe by, on the one hand, supporting the cooperation, policy improvement, and also mentioned previously knowledge exchange among partner regions. Yes, we can see your presentation, Alfonso, already. So
thank you. Can you hear me?
Yours. Yes, we can hear you great.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. I'm Alfonso Bonavita. I work for Campania region, a local government in south of Italy. I'm the head of a unit responsible for industrial areas in the economic department. And I am PRHyUS project manager. So I will give an overview of the project. First of all, let me thank Isabella, Sofia, Martina, and their team for meeting organization. Regarding the project, we move from three critical aspects. The first one is fossil fuel dependency. Many European regions remain dependent on fossil fuel, and the green transition is urgent, but it's complex. So we have to find all possible solutions in order to help in green transition, and hydrogen could be a solution, or we have to understand if it could be a solution. But there is a problem because there is a lack of hydrogen market. So we can produce, we can, with the public financement, we can help plant realization, construction. But the major challenge is establishing green hydrogen as competitive and scalable. And regarding all uses, industry, mobility, heating, and local energy systems. And for this, we have to overcome deployment barriers due to fragmented the policies, uncertain rules, and PRHyUS addresses these structural gaps. PRHyUS is not only about hydrogen technologies. It's about helping territories to create the right policies, governance, and investment conditions for renewable hydrogen and to become a part of Europe's green transition. We want about our project motivation. We want to help industrial decarbonization, in particular in hard to abate sector, more energy intensive. We want to help energy resilience, hydrogen demand condition helps regions to create the condition for an hydrogen demand. And the last one, policy alignment. This is important because we have to link hydrogen deployment with the cohesion policy, European Green Deal, and other local plans and goals. PRHyUS is a cooperation project, so our approach is learning across different hydrogen maturity levels. Partners span from advanced hydrogen ecosystem to emerging contexts. ensuring cross learning. Peer learning and exchange, thanks to staff exchange, study visit, site visit, policy exchange sessions. We are involved in regional stakeholder groups with all stakeholders, both public authorities, industry, research, energy agencies, and civil society. And the last one we use as a technical support, the cost-benefit analysis. About project activities in progress, we are involved in governance activation thanks to regional stakeholders group. We try to identify good practices. In particular, for us, for Campania region, our good practice is hydrogen valleys. But we want to learn from others' good practice. Hydrogen Valley has been identified in the REPowerEU plan as essential in order to scale up Europe's hydrogen economy. This is the case because they bring together clean hydrogen production, storage, and distribution to end use. Thanks to public funds, in this moment, there are 4 hydrogen valleys under construction in 4 different industrial areas: Naples, Salerno, Avellino, and Caserta. Another project instrument is social territorial analysis with cost-benefit analysis that we are developing, and our instrument is partner exchanges. Next steps, the final goal is improving policy instruments, and thanks to a good practice repository and a good cost-benefit analysis in order to support the issues and all the decisions, public policy in order to green transition and energy transition in general. Thank you for attention. I'm here.
Yes, thank you very much, Alfonso, for presenting PRHyUS objectives and activities that we are undertaking for the last 1 year, and will continue for the next semesters also. Thank you very much. And now this is time to move to the next session of today's event, which is dedicated to good practices and hydrogen initiatives from different European regions. We hope that the examples will be kind of inspiration for you, for everyone working on the energy transition with use of green hydrogen. Our first speaker in this session is Paweł Brusiło from the Wrocław University of Economics and Businesses. Good morning. Mr. Brusiło is assistant professor and expert in hydrogen economy and energy transition policies. He actively supports Lower Silesian Hydrogen Valley in Poland, and it's also a member of European Commission's expert network, Team Europe Poland. His research activities focus on development of low-carbon hydrogen and renewable energy systems. Today, he will present Rybnik Hydrogen District initiative. So, Paweł,
Isabella,
over to you.
Isabella, thank you very much for such a profound introduction. I'm flattered, to be honest. I wish I could share my screen, but it seems the host disabled participant screen sharing. So if you unlock it, I'll be more than happy. In the meantime,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, this is my great pleasure to join today's meeting. And I will present one of the most exciting and leading example of how to deploy hydrogen-powered fuel cell electric buses in Poland. So in a second, I will share a screen. It is just a one slide show which summarized in a streamlined version what Rybnik did. As I'm facing some technical difficulty to share the screen, I will slowly start. So Rybnik is a small, highly popular, highly dense in population city in the south of Poland. On the hills of the Carpathy Mountains, it decided to convert from coal origins to hydrogen origins. Thank you very much, Zofia, for sharing the slides instead of me. So Rybnik, as a small post-industrial coal-oriented in the past region, decided that the time has come for a just transition when not only the energy sources are swapped, but also we tell totally different story to the citizens, to the inhabitants of this municipality about our future. In the past, Rybnik in Poland was known as the coal district. That was an acronym, Rybnik Coal District. Now the city of Rybnik is promoting itself as hydrogen district. The whole project with deployment of the 20 hydrogen buses and the hydrogen refueling station that is publicly available, serving both the bus fleet and passenger vehicles, was an initial step to convert the identification of the region to totally new orientation. The project was significantly financed by the National Fund for Environment Protection and Water Resources, with 90% of a direct subsidy for bus purchase and a 10% low interest loan for the remaining sum of money. So we can say that without the public severe and very significant support, the 20 NESO bus, hydrogen NESO bus, couldn't be deployed. It was the initial success. The city deployed the first 20 hydrogen buses and now is aiming to convert the entire fleet to hydrogen. To hydrogen with a ratio of 80% hydrogen and 20% of battery electric buses that will serve only during the peak peak hours. What is worth emphasizing that Rybnik is not only deploying hydrogen buses, but also the city introduced a hydrogen technology specialization in local high school. So if the local teenagers want to specialize in hydrogen bus maintenance, hydrogen technology, operations, they can select dedicated career path in the technical high school, and after 4 years of education they graduate as ready to be deployed, ready to be hired experts in bus depots or local hydrogen manufacturing facilities or hydrogen station operators. This also shows the commitment of the city that wants to create the career path for the youths, not only to swap existing diesel buses or CNG buses into hydrogen or partially to electric. What I like about the example of Rybnik the most is it is also labeling and educating. Labeling the buses in a very interesting way, and also educating the local community about, of course, on one hand, how those technologies are secured. They are not safe. There's no high pressure gas technology related installation that could be 100% safe, but the city is educating the citizens that, okay, we use hydrogen, but it's not explosive, it is not dangerous, we have very high safety protocols. And about the labeling, this is my favorite part, because the buses in the city of Rybnik, they are labeled with the phrase "Mam w żyłach H2", which in Polish local South Silesian dialect means "I have hydrogen in my veins." That is also about telling the story to the citizens that we convert from coal to hydrogen, and we want to build a future on totally new energy carrier. Rybnik was a very interesting sandbox, like a playground for other small municipalities that have roughly around 100,000 citizens that are mandated to go zero emission when it comes to public transit, because the city of Rybnik was openly sharing their operational data, their financial data, they first, as they were saying, baby steps and initial failures, like a contamination of hydrogen fuel with water impurities, sulfur impurities, and other impurities that damaged almost entire fleet. That was caused by the fuel provider, and the fuel provider took responsibility for this action and cover the cost of the replacement of the fuel cell stacks. But those initial baby steps that sometimes turned out to be failures were very good lesson learned for other municipalities that plan to expand their operations. Currently, the city is procuring 14 more buses, again, to reach a ratio of 80 to 20, 80% hydrogen and 20% battery electric. And still, what the city is facing is still the high investment costs. The public procurements for grant offerings on the National Fund for Water Management and National Environment are announced on annual basis. So if the city plans to expand the hydrogen fleet, the city must rely that next year the National Fund will actually announce another round of the grants for the buses. Without such announcement, without such subsidy, the city cannot cover the initial capex of the buses. What remains a severe challenge is the cost of fuel, and the cost of fuel in Poland is revolving around 15 to 16 euros. It is 69 Polish zloty after tax, of course, and this price make, in case of Rybnik and other municipalities, the vehicle kilometer cost a little bit above, but not pairing with diesel fuel. The same applies to other municipalities that drive on hydrogen, that the vehicle kilometer cost is still not matching the cost of the diesel fuel. In Poland, we are expecting that the Ministry of Climate will finally introduce the contract for differences when it comes to hydrogen fuel that would decrease the cost of hydrogen fuel, decreasing also the operational expenses, which in total are still quite a severe limitation for larger rollouts in a broad scale, national scale of the hydrogen buses. Such pioneer cities like Rybnik, I would say there are exceptions, because still not too many cities in Poland decided to go hydrogen, but under current policy landscape, under current policy subsidization framework, those buses in dozens can be deployed. I could also add that the buses that are deployed in Poland are locally manufactured. We speak about two major providers. This is Neso in the city of Konin and Solaris. Very recently, the city of Bologna deployed 127 Polish Solaris buses, which also shows the capacity of this particular OEM bus provider to deploy buses in other countries. But still, we talk about very limited number. So if I could sum up this part, the unpredictability of public offerings of the grant solicitation remains a critical long-term barrier. We have this high operational expenses related with hydrogen fuel and lack of contracts for differences in this case. And also, we are still in Poland, based on the case of Rybnik, seeing some limitations in a broad scale deployment regarding the infrastructure availability. That's something also worth mentioning. We have several stations. If I'm not mistaken, at the moment there are 10 to 12, depending on how we count the operational availability, 10 to 12 hydrogen stations in Poland, with 2 of them in the city of Rybnik. So we have only few success stories. Other cities are restraining themselves from large-scale deployment, again, considering the CapEx and OpEx limitations. Looking at this slide that we developed with my partners here, I think I covered most of the elements that should be discussed. I'll be more than happy to answer questions. I can also proudly say that very recently I came back after almost 2 months of my research project in Seoul, South Korea, where I was looking for good examples, good practices. And I must say, when I was presenting the Rybnik case in Seoul City Hall, I was surprised that instead of listening to good practices, I was actually the one sharing the good practices about teaching and fostering future generations to deal with hydrogen, with promoting hydrogen with proper labeling of the buses, and social campaigns with poster campaigns in the city, and social media campaigns that explain the safety, moderate or relative subjective safety of hydrogen, and other examples. Maybe as a final remark here, I believe cities like Rybnik, so cities with very demanding topography, located in hilly valley regions, with lack of strong access to the power grid, to enlarge the chargers capacity along the bus stops. Cities that are small enough to acquire subsidies for the buses, but not big enough to cover themselves the capex and opex of the large scale deployment of fleets counted in hundreds, not if dozens. Those cities will most likely go hydrogen in Poland. Other cities like Konin, like Wałbrzych, like other, they, after initial tests, they see a merit, they see the value in operational availability of the hydrogen bus fleet. They see the merit in the number of hours that those buses can serve daily, the ranges, the refueling times, the availability to transfer the risk to the private companies that install the hydrogen stations. But also something that's Isa, do I still have a minute? Can I say one more thing?
I have like 5 minutes, so if you would like to tell us more, yeah.
Okay. So maybe one more thing, because I see Diana has a question, so maybe I'll use my remaining time also to answer the questions. But I also want to say about, I would say, the human part of the deployment of those buses, because we have the policies, we have the slides, we have beautiful spreadsheets with the expenses, with the total cost of ownership that we count with those cities, and then we talk to drivers. And from the driver's perspective, only 2 factors matters, and this is something for me as a researcher pretty interesting. So 2 factors matters for the bus driver. The first factor, how the bus is comfortable. So how shaky is the seat of the bus? And I'm not joking. This is something that they were mentioning. They didn't like diesel buses because they were shaky. And then the converting to battery electric or hydrogen buses, so electric vehicles, was an elevation of the comfort while sitting on the driver's seat for hours. And the second important factor from the bus perspective, the bus driver looks at a tiny screen on top of the clocks on the bus front desk, and this particular digital screen, the timer, is showing how much time remained to the next stop and how delayed the bus is as regarding to the next stop. So the bus driver looks very carefully at this clock, because based on this clock he is given a premium, he's giving a bonus at the end of the month. If he is on time, or if she is on time, she will get a bonus. So talking with the battery or hydrogen bus drivers, I realized what they were trying to say. With the battery electric, especially in large cities where they are delayed because of the traffic jams, they are delayed because of high occupancy of the vehicles and high number of the passengers, waiting few more minutes on the bus stop where they need to charge using the roof chargers, this frustrates them because they cannot be on time to the next stop. With hydrogen, it's totally different. You refuel in the morning and then you have 800 to 900 range. So from the bus driver perspective, hydrogen has the comfort of electric vehicle, but is not having this burden of constant fear of missing the charging spot that is located around some bus stop, so you can charge the bus with the charger on the rooftop. So speaking to the bus drivers, when I was in Rybnik, when I was in Wałbrzych, or in the city of Krakow that some of you may even visited in the past, talking to the bus drivers, they say, if you give us a chance, we want electric vehicle, either battery or hydrogen. But if we really can decide, we will go hydrogen because it gives us this comfort and we don't fear so much about the time constraints and the limitations, as per we need to look at this tiny clock that shows either -1 minute or +1 minute, depending if you are delayed or if you are on time. So those tiny details sometimes make the big difference. And from the operator perspective, like in Rybnik, satisfied and punctual bus driver is very strong asset. So maybe with this very personal, like with this very humane, not technical, not economic, not financial aspect, I will remain you, and I will be more than happy to answer a few questions if we have now some time. I see Diana, you have your hands up.
Yes, I think we have now time for one maybe simple question. Probably there is no simple question regarding hydrogen at all, but yeah, if we could keep it quite short, we would like to address Diana's question now, and in the Q&A session, question from the chat.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Diana Maciąga, and I represent Polish Green Network and CE Bankwatch Network. And to be honest, I now feel that I have heard a story of a completely different city. Because according to my research, which I recently published in a Bankwatch report, Hydrogen Buses in Poland, where did it all go wrong? The situation is quite different. Regarding the cost of fuels, Rybnik was one of the 23 cities in 2024 which literally begged the Polish government to subsidize the fuel costs. Because in all the cities, all the 16 cities which either bought or gained subsidies for buying hydrogen buses, none of them actually calculated the correct price of hydrogen, which turned out to be 3 or 4 times higher than the cost of traveling 100 kilometers by diesel or by electricity car. And most of the feasibility studies that I have read completely disregarded the fact that the hydrogen in Poland is mostly produced from fossil fuels or as a byproduct in chemical reactions. We do not have production of RFNBO in Poland for transport. So basically, these buses are gas-fueled buses, but much more expensive and emission-intensive. There is so much I could criticize here, to be honest. I would really like you to refer you to the Bankwatch report, because the main conclusion from our research is that in Poland, the whole hydrogen bus market has been artificially created by subsidizing the purchase of the buses, with almost 100% of the qualified cost being covered. While the electric battery buses, the subsidies were 65–85%. So the municipalities went for the hype and decided to get the buses for free. but then the operational costs turn out to be unbearable. And I would like to stress that here we are creating this artificial demand for a very energy intensive and very expensive fuel in the public sector. So it is the municipality and the citizens that are covering the cost, while the producers of the hydrogen are the gain-oriented companies that are also being subsidized for production, but they are the ones that are actually profiteering of this whole schemes. And
so,
to be honest,
I would like to double check because I'm not sure which point I was mistaken. I mentioned at the beginning that 90% of the subsidy was given, and I said that 10% was given at a low interest rate. So I clearly mentioned that almost 100% was given in a subsidy. And this is strongly subsidized market where the municipalities strongly rely on the subsidies, because without the subsidies, they cannot purchase those vehicles. Second of all, you mentioned that the hydrogen in Poland is produced in majority of the fossil fuels. This is completely right. But when it comes to NESO, they provide the hydrogen from the ZEPAK facilities in Konin using 2.5 megawatt electrolyzer, while Orlen is contracting biomethane during purchase power agreements, and in Trzebinia facility that they use steam methane reforming of this biomethane contracted from Bavaria, they produced low carbon hydrogen. You are totally right that we don't have any RFNBO mandated facilities in Poland. We have other contractors soon provide low carbon hydrogen. For example, Promet Plast in Gajowawski in the southwest of Poland that has at the moment 5 megawatt electrolyzer. So you said there's so much to criticize, but I don't understand what you want to criticize, to be honest. Again, I mentioned the subsidies.
Okay, I can answer this question. I can answer this question because what I am criticizing are the conclusions that actually the hydrogen public transport is feasible and should be used for creating the demand for hydrogen. Because to be honest, when we are talking about low carbon hydrogen, there is nothing low carbon about it. When we produce it from methane, whether it's fossil gas or even biomethane, the methane emissions are so high that the carbon footprint of hydrogen production in this way is still higher than burning, for example, gas. When we are using, even when we are using CCS.
At the same time, we have municipalities like Wałbrzych, that is also in the south of Poland. I visited Wałbrzych numerous times very recently. My university, this week, my university signed agreement with the city of Wałbrzych and my university to share data. I have access to super detailed information how they operate. They are very committed to deploy next batch of hydrogen buses. They have 20 so far, and now they deploy Mercedes buses. They use the hydrogen from the Orlen station, and Orlen is providing the hydrogen from Włocławek installations that operate on electrolyzers. This is not SMR. This is electrolyzers, 2.5 electrolyzers from Włocławek Orlen facilities. Second of all, to expand their fleet, they contract 100,000 tons starting from the next year from Gajowawski, which is now expanding from 5 megawatts to 30 megawatts electrolyzers. There's no gas involved. I didn't say, and I want to be very clear here, that this is the path for decarbonization of public transit. I said there are typical conditions like hilly regions where municipalities around 100,000 are tempted to go hydrogen because they see operational advantages related to the deployment of those buses over battery electric, and they still don't reject battery electric, but they want to deploy the battery electric buses in parallel. So again, Mrs. Isabella and I expected a question. You promoted your report, which I really appreciate. I'll be more than happy to read it. But so far, you mentioned you want to criticize what I said, and a totally different story. And I didn't hear any question, and I don't understand the criticism regarding what I said. So if you could clarify your question or clarify what is the major flaws on my presentation, I'll be very grateful for that.
And let me step in here because we are running out of time and we still have some examples from different regions than Poland to present during today's meeting. I would encourage Mr. Bosiło and Ms. Diana to talk with each other to explain outside of
Isabella, just if I may,
conclude,
sorry,
if
Diana,
I
sorry,
may,
Isabella.
just one last sentence is that the 236 hydrogen buses in Poland costed more than 20 million euros, which is completely infeasible. And at the same time, currently 66 buses will not be purchased by municipalities, which backpedaled from hydrogen transport because of the excessive cost comparing to electric vehicles. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, Diana, to interrupt, but I just wanted to make a point from the point of view of the project and also to allow Isabella to relax and move on. But from the point of view of the project here, what we are looking at is both your points. We're looking at the impact of pilots, because in the end, it's true that these buses are running out on fossil hydrogen, but we need to differentiate the effect of a pilot and the purpose of a pilot to what is actually a pathway to decarbonization. And here, what we, as a project prize, what we want to see by exploring different cases through different countries, we are not only looking at the policy element, is to see how this makes sense. And in that sense, we are definitely taking into account your input. And I agree on elements that have been said on both sides, and I agree with you, Diana. So yeah, with that, I just wanted to invite you both to have a talk later. I can also join if you find it useful. And yeah, I hand it over to you, Isabella.
Thank you very much. And now it's time to move to our next speaker, which is Cecilia Pozzo from France. I need to say that I would like not to pronounce the full name of the French region. I believe Cecilia will do this much better than I. Cecilia is a project manager specializing in hydrogen and energy transition projects, and also she coordinating the Imagine Hydrogen Valley initiative. In her role, she brings together different stakeholders, supports the development of hydrogen projects, and helps turn ambitious ideas into practical solution across her region. Today, she will present, mentioned Imagine project and share experience of one of European hydrogen valleys. So, Cecilia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Isabella, for this presentation. Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I will quickly try and show you how it is that in the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region where I work, we came about to the hydrogen world because we are a local authority, a regional authority. So it's not really our role normally to be in the hydrogen sector. There we go. So first of all, where is it that we are located? As you can see here, we are in the southeastern corner of France. So it's where you can find the Alps. So in this side of our region, you can find the Alps, and here you have the beautiful how do you call it? Volcan. I can't find the word. The mountains that are in the center of France, and right in the middle we have a big valley where the Rhône river runs through. So it's important to know a bit of the geography and where we are located to understand all of this process. So how do we come about the hydrogen world? For our politicians, it seemed like a good solution for our region for many different reasons. The first one is that within our geographical region, we have a lot of production of renewable energy. And so we have about 22% of the renewable energy of France that comes from our region. We're also the first industrial region in France. So if I do a focus on the hydrogen sector, we have about 285 companies that are involved in hydrogen, out of which 25 are hydrogen pure players. And in total, there's about 1,600 employees that work in the hydrogen sector in our region. So the main market applications will be energy production and heavy-duty vehicles as well. And we are very lucky to have as well a certain number of research facilities within our region that are specific to the hydrogen sector. So what were the first steps that we took towards working on a renewable hydrogen economy? We started with a project that is called the Zero Emission Valley that was co-financed by the European Union as well as the French state government. So this project, what it tried to do was to work on the demand and offer at the same time. So it was specifically focusing on mobility sector. So the idea was to produce, to install a certain number of hydrogen refueling stations on the main transport corridors, and to have the vehicles on the other side. So we managed to create 12 refueling stations, so that is working. However, on the vehicle side, we had more difficulties, so we did not achieve the goal that we had given ourselves for many different reasons. So when it comes to light vehicles, there's only 30 light vehicles that managed to be operational. However, we've been more lucky with the heavy mobility aspect. So we expect to have about 80 vehicles that are operational by 2027. And at the moment, we have about 40 buses and coaches that are operational. What we also did in this project was to create a public-private company, which is called Impulsion, and whose objective is to, they're in charge of the hydrogen refueling stations and the ecosystem that was created. So they created them and they operate them. And you can see the different partners that are involved in this company. And at the same time as well, we got involved in a hydrogen training project whose objective was to put together pilot trainings in order to help develop skills related to the hydrogen ecosystem to meet existing and emerging demands in the hydrogen sector. So from there, we decided that it was interesting to go a little bit further, and we applied to the CHP's, the Clean Hydrogen Partnerships call in 2023 to be large-scale hydrogen valley, and we were lucky to be a winner of the 2023 call. So our project, Imagine, it means investment to maximize the ambition of green hydrogen in Europe. It is coordinated by the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region, and it started in 2024 and it goes until the end of 2029. And we have about 35 direct partners, plus a group of observers that work with us to see how we go about doing this project. So the objective was to create a change of scale for a regional hydrogen ecosystem. And by that, we wanted to decarbonize the industry and the heavy mobility in our region. Another objective was to cover the whole value chain. And of course, to develop existing synergies within the region and across the entire hydrogen value chain. And finally, to link our project with other national and European initiatives. So as I was saying, the objective is to cover all of the value chain of hydrogen. So from the production part to storage, transport, distribution, and different end uses. Now on the production side, the objective is to produce 4,000 tons of renewable hydrogen per year. And this would be the equivalent of about 27 megawatts of electrolysis capacity. The storage, we have a project to store hydrogen in a salt cavern in the north of our region. Regarding the transport part of things, there are different studies being done to implement pipelines ecosystems and to transport hydrogen by tube trailers. There are distribution stations, so hydrogen distribution stations located all around the region. And finally, the different end uses. We have two different type of end uses. So the first one being mobility and the second one being the industrial sector. So this is a map of the different projects that are where they are located. So I won't necessarily detail more, but if you have any questions, of course, I can answer afterwards. If I zoom out a little bit to give you a bit of a vision, these are the different hydrogen valleys that are located all around Europe. We are located right here, and the red lines that you can see are the hydrogen backbone project. And as you can see, we have the backbone that goes right through our region. So of course, this really drives our project, and it's quite central, but the timing will be a bit different because the pipeline is expected, I think, not before 2032, around there. So what have we achieved so far? We have 11 HRS that are operational in different parts of the region. We have, oh, I did not correct. I have some mistakes in the slide, so please excuse me. There's 4 trucks that are in service and a total of 18 coaches and not cars that are operational. There's a 10 megawatt electrolyzer that is under commissioning at the moment. And we also have 8 buses that are in service for public transport in the city of Clermont-Ferrand. So if I can, before I say thank you, if I can give you a little bit of feedback on our experience, the first thing I'd like to say is that I think it's really important to work on stable building blocks. What helped us was to have a clear and an ambitious strategy from our politicians of what it is that they wanted to do. Also to take things one step at a time. So we started with the Zero Emission Valley, and then we tried to go on to a more ambitious project. And as a regional authority, we are not directly involved in hydrogen. So it was important for us to find our place in the ecosystem. So we became quite involved in organizing a regional hydrogen committee, for example, and coordinating different European projects. Another thing is that there will be changes to the program. We had one big, beautiful project that we applied with in 2023. It has changed and it continues to change regularly. So this takes a lot of time. There are partners that leave the consortium. There are new partners that join the consortium. Also concerning the individual projects, there will be changes, either because of economical reasons for the partner, or maybe there's the lack of demand of the vehicles that are expected. Different technical difficulties. We have seen a bit of everything. And of course, this will have an impact on the timeline of the individual projects and then on the whole project. You must know as well that any changes to the national or international level will have an impact on your project as well. So this is not something to neglect. And finally, the conclusion that I make as well is that we had really focused on, I'd say, small or heavy duty mobility, but this is not sufficient on itself. We had just spoke about it on the last example that was presented. It's maybe the easier first steps to take, but it will not be enough to really have a stable economy around renewable hydrogen. And in order to make this something stable, we need to involve bigger hydrogen consumers like the industrial sector. But it's not necessarily something that is particularly easy. And maybe one last thing that I would add is something that is quite difficult, and I'm constantly trying to find solutions for this, is the confidentiality of things. We have a project where we're supposed to work with a lot of different partners, but we are regularly confronted to confidentiality issues, and it makes it hard to really make them work together to try and overcome different challenges. There we go. So thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia, very much for presenting Imagine Hydrogen Valley. Now, I would like to move to the next speaker of our Good Practices session. I would like to invite Mr. Nick Dipolf, the head of operations at Zera company from Germany. with many years of experience in mechanical and plant engineering, as well as previous work at Airbus. Nick combines technical expertise with extensive experience in international project management and industrial innovation. At Zera, he is responsible for strategic initiatives in engineering and hydrogen technologies. Today, Nick will share the industrial perspective also on hydrogen technologies and some practical applications. So, Nick, the floor is yours. We cannot hear you, unfortunately. We can see the presentation, but we cannot hear your voice. I see that from the Zoom settings, it looks like the mic is on, but maybe it's the issue with the headphones. Still cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Wonderful. I think you, yeah, now.
Oh, now it should work. I just had I changed my microphone, so I just had to inform the colleagues that if someone comes in, they should be silent a minute because it's over the laptop, but I can hear you well. So thank you very much. Welcome also from my side. I would like to introduce you the Zera, or better to say, our actual way in Zera regarding our hydrogen applications and hydrogen systems from industrial point of view. Yeah, we as Zera, we stand for the provenness, efficiency, and customized solutions, as you can see here already on the slide. And for us, it's very important as we are a middle-sized or medium-sized company for the fields of liquids and gases. So we do in technology, we do dosing skids as well as hydrogen application or gas application systems in industrial processes. And we stand for the inspired solutions for our customers. Coming to the topic, so what does it mean for us to be proven? As we have a lot of so like 81 year this year of experience to secure processes and especially in industrial applications and also in power plants and so on. We are already working since centuries into it, and for us and for decades, and this is really important for us to be part of this and understand the process before we start with thinking about the technical solution, how it looked like at the end. We are customized in many parts, as you know. For sure, you can make standard parts a lot, but at the end, it all needs a modification or at least an integration to the customized process. And by our team and our setup and how we are set it up is very necessary for us to do it most efficient for our customers. Coming to the point, so hydrogen for us doesn't need grand visions. It needs systems that work. So we need reliability also on the systems, and this is where we want and where we stand for, and that's why we have already installed in the market a lot of compressors for hydrogen application, but also like systems we are installing, like I will show you in the next slides. So from this point of view, so what is at the moment our aim to achieve is we look at the surplus power or at redundancy power applications in order to, and decentralized solutions in order to bring the hydrogen and also the compression parts or the storage very close to the production of the hydrogen, or even including the hydrogen into it. And by that we are convinced that we gain flexibility, that we make energy available elsewhere, so wherever it's needed, and we turn power into a strategy and not only a model, as we see on the right side, to say, okay, if I have a failure in a system or like emergency power or so, we need dedicated solutions only for this. So we needed, let's say, in a dual use way or hybrid way, to say, okay, we can cover a lot of scenarios with our solutions. From an industrial use case point of view, so as DERA, I clearly state this, we are not having or providing solutions for megawatt plants or for let's say very big volumes, but especially for the decentralized or also for on-demand pressurized systems. So meaning we scale the system based on the necessity of our customers, and then by our products we have the possibility, as you can see here, that with our systems we are able to make also boosting applications up to 1000 bar in the overall process of our customers. And at the moment we are almost having a lot of requests in all of these applications you see here, for sure. And this we all know, and I already pointed out during the site tour when some of you were here. We have also for sure our challenges in different applications regarding also the foundations or the financial aspects, and a lot of things like we do it with schools and universities at the moment have a very theoretical part, but the very nice thing from my point of view is that we move on, we go on, and we see that not the market, because the market is very passive from my point of view at the moment, but from the innovations point of view and from research and development point of view, the things are moving on, especially in our environment, I have to say. Yeah, why we come away from traditional solutions for emergency power or for hybrid, or we go for a hybrid solution, is we have a day-to-day life, so a running system which is always let's say supporting your power demands and your energy demands you have. And also we can very easy put emergency cases like for hospitals or like for companies which have a data center, or for municipalities where we say, okay, we can support there in order to save or secure the process, as well as defense applications, which is possible. So we produce the hydrogen in-house, or is possible, or we can take over. This is for us, it doesn't matter, I have to say. So for us, it's very important that our technology compressor-wise is in this system, and we can supply or we can produce with our compressor the demand in terms of high pressure, what is needed for you. And furthermore, and this is for very important for let's say water treatment plants or anything, that we don't rely on liquid energy like diesel or petrol. For example, for a generator, we have to have for the emergency cases, we have a gas application, which helps a lot, because here in Germany and also in other countries, for sure, on these areas like a water treatment plant, we also have a let's say a natural resort situation where we say, okay, we don't want to have any diesel in our water, which is the worst which can happen. So the modular system at the moment, I have to say, what you are able to, let's say, order right now already is up to, so from 25 bar to 30 bar. So if it's higher, for sure, is good for us because the compressor can be much more efficient if the inlet pressure is that. But if we go to the 300 bar application and at the moment, and I have good thoughts and good promises for the ones who were here at Sera on the site, we are at the moment developing a 700 bar compressor, which also fits into this application, and we can also go up to 500, 700 bar if necessary. Depends for sure on the application. Yeah, our aim is to secure the supply of it, to create a long-term storage. For sure, we know that the battery technologies are also very good, but as we all know, hopefully in the PRHyUS network is still limited in these belongings, and we expect that for off-grid operations, such a system, like also for telecommunication application, where we are at the moment also in a lot of exchanges with telecommunication companies. This is a very good option to everything what is at the moment on the market. Yeah, coming closely to the end, for us, and this is Sera where we stand for. We want to provide a system with technically robustness. By scaling the system for the demands the customer has, we look that is economically, even if we all know that at the moment economically in hydrogen world doesn't mean that this is cheap, but economically interesting at the point, and with a certain return of invest that we check from our side for you and for our customers, if this is really also at the moment with the actual situation, with the gas prices, with the energy prices, a really worthwhile thing, or if it doesn't make sense at the moment, and we can give some indications when something happens in the market, when it's a proven system. And we stand for future proof finally. So we want to be absolutely independent also here on our side, here in Immenhausen, where we are close to Kassel in Germany. And yeah, that's why we also have, let's say, our strategy made to the strategy of the overall business. Yeah, we have different kind of systems and applications we see at the moment. We have installed 4 systems already of our systems, which is not much, but from this size point of view, it's very important for us to see that the demand is there, and especially for, let's say, industrial companies who have, for example, like we have here in Sera, who has like 300 to 500 kilowatt of peak on the roof of the building, or somewhere else on field or so. It's worth to think about and to come into the discussions and alignment between each other. And yeah, also we know, as we heard in the previous presentation, the grid which you see here is not ready yet, as we would all like to. So for us, it's very important to look also on the demands which are let's say need to be deployable, so we can move it from one day to the other, or let's say over 3 days from one area to the other, and produce and store again the hydrogen application. This is why you see this packaged model also. So we want to be able to say we are, I would not say we are mobile, but we are deployable, and we can move our system in a certain period of time from one destination to the other. And this is a very important aspect from our point of view, to make, let's say, the hydrogen portfolio fully available. Yeah, So I try to be very quick due to the time. In case you are interested to exchange with us, we are very open to do so. If you like to contact me or the other colleagues and get to know also with the sales department, then please feel free to do it. And now I'm open for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick, for sharing your experiences from industrial sector in hydrogen topic. Thank you very much. And without any delays, I would like to move to next speaker, which is Angelo Moreno from Stress from Italy. Angelo is one of Europe's leading experts in hydrogen and fuel cell technologies with decades of experience in scientific coordination and also energy projects. During his career, he held key positions in INEA and several European hydrogen organizations, contributing to development of hydrogen policies and also research initiatives. During today's meeting, Angelo will present the concept of hydrogen zero emission building. Thank you for joining, Angelo, and the floor
Thank
is
you,
yours.
Isabella, for the very good presentation. And my presentation is in line with the presentation made by Nick Dippel, because the aim of our work is to reach in the long term the possibility to have off-grid buildings. And now I'm going to tell you the story, because the hydrogen zero emission building is existing. Is the one in the photo. Was realized in Benevento, near the University of Benevento. And for us, it's a kind of technological gym for hydrogen technologies. And it has a long story. And I just tell you in a nutshell what is the story. Because this building is not just a building where people live, but it's a building meant to test technological solution in the frame of built environment. We started with the
Sorry, Angelo, for interrupting, but I think you have some slides prepared for today.
Yes, I'm showing you. You don't see it?
No, unfortunately not. Could you try once again?
I share again. Sorry, I was thinking that I was showing the. Sorry. Sorry. I just didn't put. Okay, now you should see my screen. It's true?
Yes, exactly. Okay. And yes, now in full screen mode. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, sorry. I thought that I was just sharing. Okay, the building is the one that you see in the photo. And there is a long story started in 2014 when, with the help of, in the frame of a project funded by the Minister of Research, Stress has built the so-called nearly zero energy building. The idea of this building was to test all the technology that could improve the efficiency of the building, lowering the energy demand and lowering also the CO2 emission and other pollutant emission. Then in 2020, Stress decided to transform the nearly zero energy building into HZEB, which means hydrogen zero emission building. The aim was to lower as much as possible the emission of the building. And in this case, we implemented in this building all hydrogen technologies to show that it's possible with the use of this technology to lower the emissions from the buildings. Because we think that the built environment, we can mention it, even the built environment, we can mention as a hard to abate sector, because we can electrify, we can put heat pumps, but we still need electricity. And then if we are able to produce the electricity that's still needed in the built environment, introducing hydrogen, we will go to lower or to completely abate the CO2 emissions. And with this laboratory, which we call also living laboratory, test is equipped to test, validate, and demonstrate hydrogen technologies with the main goal to demonstrate that they are able to be applied in the built environment. And in 2025, we made a further step towards the improvement of this building, because we put in operation a power-to-power system. In this way, we moved the hydrogen zero-emission building towards an off-grid buildings. And now I'll show you a few pictures. This is the starting point in 2014. This is a family house of 71 square meters, where 2 students of the University of Benevento are living even today. But it's of course also equipped with all the possible measurement to test and to optimize the use of the technologies. This is the starting point. And then with the green H2 buildings, we moved towards the zero emission, and Solidera was the supplier of the solid oxide fuel cell, and Stress was also the part of the project. With this project, we put in operation, we integrate into the existing building a fuel cell, which is this one, is a Blue Gen BG15 made by Solidera. The operating temperature is between 700 and 750 degrees. The maximum power is 1.2 kilowatt, but nominal power is 1 kilowatt electric. We have also some thermal power. Then this is a combined heat and power system with almost 0.9 kilowatt hours of thermal kilowatt. The hydrogen will be supplied at a power of 1 kilowatt at a rate of 12 liters per minute. This system was integrated in with the photovoltaic plant and with the batteries, which is 11.6 kilowatt hour of electricity stored. And then we also integrated the system with the thermal power, where you can see here that the thermal power is fed even by solar collector and by geothermal pipes. We have a 300-liter tank for hot water. And the fuel cell module is integrated in this test system. And the hydrogen in this configuration was stored in form of compressed hydrogen, 8 cylinder placed on the back of the house here, 8 cylinder of 200 bars with 64 standard cubic meter of green hydrogen. The next step is the one that we realized with the project named Ecosister. The project duration was 1 year. The cost of the project was 641 kilo hours, and the contribution was 393 kilo hours. And the system is really seems more or less the one that showed Dippel. It's a container, and in this container the container is put again on the back of the building, and the container is divided in 2 parts. One part, this one, is the storage compartment where hydrogen is stored in form of hydrates. And here we can store 10 cubic meters of hydrogen. And here you see the fuel cell, the PEM fuel cell, and the PEM electrolyzer. A few data. Both all the system was supplied by H2 Planet. This is the PEM electrolyzers. electrolyzer able to produce a very high purity hydrogen, and with the pressure range from 10 to 20. The storage system works at 30 bar. That means that we need a compressor, but the compressor is inside the electrolyzer. Then the working pressure of the electrolyzer is 20 bars, and in the electrolyzer, the hydrogen that exit the electrolyzer will be compressed at 30 bar, which is the working pressure of the storage. And then we have a PEM fuel cell, which is working from 0 to 1 kilowatt. The startup time is 2 minutes, and the peak power efficiency is more than 42%. With this, and again, also in this case, we integrate the new system with electrical and thermal production. This is all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you very much for presenting this Italian initiative. If anyone would like to discover more, please put your questions in the chat, and we will try to answer them later on. And now it's time for our final presentation, which will be delivered by Francesca Per, researcher at the Fondazione Enrico Mattei from Italy also. And Francesca is also a member of Technologies for the Energy Transition team. Her research focuses on energy system modeling and the role of hydrogen in decarbonization processes and energy systems. She's also actively involved in our PRHyUS project, where she contributes to development of analytical tools, which will be presented more broadly in this presentation. I mean, socio-territorial analysis and cost-benefit analysis. We'll touch the topic of the methodologies of this analysis and try to explain how they could help local and regional authorities to assess hydrogen potential. So, Francesca, hand over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm pleased to contribute to this webinar on behalf of Fondazione Enrico Mattei, who is one of the Italian partners of the project. So FEM, as Isabella said, contributes to the development of regional policy tools supporting the renewable hydrogen uptake, with the focus on the energy transition analysis and territorial assessment. So let me start with one key message, that is hydrogen is not a one-size-fits-all solution, because different territories have different starting points. For this region, hydrogen planning should not start from the technology alone, but rather it should start from the territory. Because a region may have a strong political interest in hydrogen, but limited local demand. Another territory may have important industrial demand, but insufficient renewable electricity, and so on and so forth. So the first step is to build a clear picture of the territorial context. In this session, I will focus on a very practical question, that is, how can regions, cities, and local stakeholders understand whether renewable hydrogen is a real opportunity for their territory, and how can they plan for it in an informed way? This is an important question because hydrogen is often discussed at the European level as a key technology enabling the energy transition. But when we move from the European strategies to the local and the regional implementation, the discussion becomes more concrete. Local authorities and regional stakeholders need to understand where hydrogen can create real value, which sectors may benefit from it, what infrastructure is needed, what costs and benefits are expected, So in other words, the question is not simply, is hydrogen important? But rather the real question is where, how, under which conditions can hydrogen support the transition of a specific territory? And this is where our analytical tools become useful. In particular, I will present two main elements that are the socio-territorial analysis, which helps us understand the characteristics, the needs, and the opportunities of each territory, and the cost-benefit analysis that helps assess whether a specific hydrogen project can generate value. From both a societal and economic perspective. Finally, I will briefly discuss how these tools can support the policy development, planning, and cooperation. The socio-territorial analysis developed in the PRHyUS project is designed to provide a structured overview of each partner's territory. The analysis looks at several dimensions that include the territorial context, such as the geographic boundaries, administrative level, population and spatial characteristics, the socioeconomic profile, including GDP, employment, industrial structures, the energy systems that include the local energy consumption and production patterns, the environmental context, including the emissions, air pollutants, and air quality conditions. These first few points are important because hydrogen opportunities are strictly linked to the local economic and energy structure. For example, a territory with energy-intensive industry may have a different hydrogen potential compared to a mostly residential or service-based area. Or similarly, an area with high renewable energy may be well positioned for production, while an industrial area may be more relevant from the demand side. So the STA then also considers the policy and regulatory framework that include the European, national, and local hydrogen strategies, targets, funding programs, plans, and also the policy gaps and bottlenecks. Then it looks at the current state of hydrogen, meaning the existing or planned project, as well as the stakeholder perception that regards the opportunities and barriers. So the objective is not only to collect the data, but the objective is to really understand the local ecosystem. The STA helps answer several questions, such as where are the main energy-intensive sectors, is there local renewable potential, plan hydrogen-related initiatives, policy instruments, are the stakeholders cooperating, what are the main barriers? These questions are very relevant for public authorities because they help identify where the policy support may be needed. For instance, the main barrier may be a lack of coordination, and the response may be the creation of a local platform. Or the main barrier may be the lack of infrastructure, then planning and permitting becomes central. Another barrier may be limited demand, and the solution should be identifying the potential users and creating demand. In our analysis, one important component is the identification of the hard-to-abate sectors. These are the sectors where emissions are difficult to reduce through direct electrification alone. So the technical work that we did uses sources such as the JRC lab to identify the energy-intensive industrial facilities and combine them with emission heat maps to make possible to locate the industrial clusters where hydrogen could potentially play a role. This type of analysis is useful because it links the hydrogen planning to the real territorial needs rather than using abstract assumptions. Of course, the territorial analysis also faces some limitation. One challenge that we have encountered is the geographic scale, because in some cases data are only available at the national level. not at the local level. When this happens, the analysis must use proxies that need to be clearly documented. So this is a first important point for the administration, and it is that better local data can significantly improve the planning capacity. A first policy recommendation could be that the municipalities should invest not only in the infrastructure, but also in the data system, monitoring capacity, and institutional coordination. Because without reliable data, it is difficult to prioritize projects, attract investors, or evaluate the real impact of the policies. So once we understood the territorial context, the next step is to assess specific hydrogen projects or ideas. And this is where the cost-benefit analysis becomes relevant. So for a non-technical audience, we can say that the CBA helps answer a simple but fundamental question. Does the project create value, and for whom? This is a distinction that is very important because a project can be assessed from different perspectives. So the CBA methodological framework used in the PRHyUS project is based on the identification and quantification of all the cost and benefit flows that are associated with the project. These flows are estimated on the annual basis over a defined time horizon that distinguishes the construction and operational phase. The economic CBA looks at the impacts for society as a whole, so including the externalities that may include avoided CO2 emissions, environmental benefits, innovation effects, employment impacts, and other wider territorial benefits. While the financial analysis instead looks at the profitability from the perspective of investors, and it considers revenues, cost, financing structure, cost of capital, internal rate of returns. Then the CBA framework also includes a risk analysis that identifies the key risks and the possible mitigation measures. This distinction is essential for the public policy because some hydrogen projects may not be immediately profitable for the private investors, but they may generate broader social or environmental benefits. And in such cases, the public support may be justified, provided that the benefits are clearly demonstrated. So the technical CBA identifies a minimum set of information that are needed from the project partners, and at the basic level we need data on project costs, such as the CAPEX, OPEX, construction period, operational lifetime, expected hydrogen production, while for the economic CBA, we need to estimate the benefits, such as I said, avoided CO2, carbon price used, the direct project benefits, positive externalities, and also the potential negative externalities. So this may sound very technical, but for the public authorities, the key message is, again, good project assessment requires good project data. If the data are missing, we can use benchmarks and assumptions. And although this reduces the robustness, our methodology recognizes this trade-off. So benchmarks actually allow the analysis to proceed even with limited specific data. So why is it useful for the stakeholder? For the local and regional authorities, the CBA is useful in several ways. First, it helps prioritize the project because not every idea is equally mature, feasible, or impactful. And the CBA helps compare the alternatives and identify where the public support can generate the greatest value. Second, it helps communicate the rationale behind the policy decision. If a region decides to support a project, the CBA can help explain the expected benefits. So in terms of emission reduction, innovation, economic development, energy security. It also helps identify the funding gaps because a project may generate social benefit, but still face financial barriers. And in that case, the analysis can help define the type and level of public support that is needed. Fourth, it improves cooperation with the investors because investors need credible assumption, clear project boundaries, transparent risk assessment. So a structured CBA can support this dialogue with investors. Finally, it helps avoid the inefficient use of resources. Hydrogen should not be supported. Hydrogen should be supported only where it makes sense, not everywhere. And the CBA helps distinguish between the promising application and cases where other solution may be more effective. So a concern that often came up when we talked about CBA with our partners is the worry that a proper cost analysis requires highly precise project-specific data that sometimes is simply not available yet. So in the PRHyUS framework, we decided to take a different approach. The CBA, in our case, is a flexible tool that is calibrated to each partner actual situation. And the right level of precision depends on what the policy instruments need to demonstrate and what data is genuinely available. And sometimes this means using European benchmark data. Which is not a methodological shortcut, but is the appropriate choice when local project data does not exist yet or is not yet reliable. Many of our partners are in this situation, and it's fine. So even a region without a specific hydrogen project can still conduct a meaningful CBA or one that produces directional conclusions about the strategic potential of hydrogen. And of course, it can be progressively redefined as better data becomes available. So the real value comes from combining the STA and the CBA. The STA tells us where the opportunities and needs are, and the CBA tells us whether a specific project is economically and financially sound. For example, the STA may identify an industrial cluster with significant emission and potential hydrogen demand. Then the CBA can assess whether an hydrogen project serving that cluster is viable, what benefits it could create, what support may be required, etc. This combined approach is particularly useful for policy development because it connects territorial strategy with the project level decision. So hydrogen projects require cooperation across sectors. Different actors such as public authorities, energy producer, industrial or transport operators, research institutions, citizens, all have a role to play. However, these actors often have different priorities, different time horizons, and different level of knowledge. So our analytical tools can support the cooperation because they create the common evidence base. The STA helps the stakeholder understand the shared territorial context, and then the CBA helps them understand the expected costs, benefits, and risks of a specific project. And together, they can make the discussion more transparent. For this reason, tools such as stakeholder mapping, spatial mapping of opportunities, policy gap analysis, and scenario building can complement the STA and CBA. So I want to summarize the main messages. First, the hydrogen planning should start from the territorial needs. The objective is not to promote hydrogen for its own sake, but it is to understand where it can solve real decarbonization challenges. Second, the hydrogen is the most promising where there is a good match between renewable energy availability, potential demand, infrastructure, and the stakeholder commitment. And the public authorities have a key role in enabling this match because they can support the coordination, improve data availability, align planning instruments, facilitate the permitting, and help mobilize the fundings. Fourth, the project assessment should consider both the financial viability and a wider social value. And this is why it is important to distinguish between the financial analysis and the economic CBA. Last, data gaps should not stop the action. They should just be made explicit. And when assumptions are used, they should be transparent and updated as better information becomes available. So to conclude, I would like to leave you with one central idea, that is renewable hydrogen can play an important role in the European energy transition, but the local development must be carefully planned. In fact, the most successful territories will likely be those that are able to combine a strong analysis, a clear policy direction, and effective cooperation among the stakeholders. To recap, the socio-territorial analysis helps us understand the territory. The cost-benefit analysis helps us assess specific projects. And together, these tools can help regions and cities move from the ambition to the real implementation. And they can support better decisions, more targeted investments, and a stronger cooperation between the public and the private sector. So to conclude, the added value of PRHyUS is not only about exchanging good practices, but also about helping territories build the analytical and institutional capacity that is needed to develop renewable hydrogen in a realistic and sustainable and place-based way. Okay, thank you very much, and I look forward for the discussion.
Thank you, Francesca, very much to you and also to our other speakers for excellent presentations. And now we reach the final part of today's webinar, the Q&A session. I would like to invite my colleague Zofia Michlovic, the moderator of this part of the event. Zofia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Isabella. And once again, thank you to all the speakers for sharing their experiences and their knowledge. We really appreciate it. A message to the participants: if you would like to ask any additional questions, please feel free to do it in the chat. And in the meantime, I would like to ask some questions that were posed earlier in the chat during the discussions. As the questions are quite long, I will share the screen with them. First question is very technical. I think it might be suitable to get an answer from the industry perspective. So, Nick Diepel, if you're still with us and if you would like to answer this question, we would be honored. The question is about traditional materials and that they might be challenging. We're working with hydrogen and its storage and transport. So which materials are currently considered suitable for hydrogen or hydrogen natural gas blends? Is it carbon steel, low alloy steels, or some other materials? And are there any public standards, guidelines, or failure analysis that compare the long-term behavior of different materials in hydrogen service?
I think that Nick is not longer with us, unfortunately, but it's not strictly the question for Zera company, but also from for the whole sector. So maybe we have some experts. I believe we have in our attendance today. So maybe someone would like to address also this comment and this
yes, I think Angela Moreno, please. The floor is yours.
I don't have the precise numbers on information. I just give you some very general information. First, most of the pipelines are already hydrogen ready. In Italy, 80% of the pipelines are already suitable for transport hydrogen. And you see this with the project meant South Corridor, South Hydrogen Corridor, which is a 3,000 kilometer corridor. Of these, I think 2,000 kilometers are already hydrogen ready. That's the first general answer. The second is that not everybody is aware of the fact that we have used hydrogen for a long period of time in big cities all around the world, because we used and distribute the so-called city gas, town gas, which was a mixture between hydrogen and carbon monoxide. And third, we use and transport hydrogen every day in the world. Almost 80 million of hydrogen is transported even by pipelines. Then what I mean with this is that we know very well the problem, and the problem has been solved, but new material are under investigation, like polyethylene and others, because of course everything can be improved. Of course, I don't answer the question directly, but I think that there is no question, really no question.
Yes, thank you for the overview. I would like to first follow up with the question of the chat, whether the pipelines you mentioned are ready to transport pure hydrogen or hydrogen blends with natural gas.
Yes, of course, both. In Belgium, but where the refinery are present, hydrogen is transported by one refinery to the other by pipelines. Belgium and France and the Netherlands, I think, they are linked with the pipelines transporting pure hydrogen. Then we have also examples of blending. We have also in Italy a project where the 10% of the hydrogen was blended in the grid without any problem, and it was used. Then really, I repeat, we are keeping improving the pipelines, but we have still good quality pipelines which can transport safely hydrogen, but everything can be improved.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the answer. And I wanted to ask the author of the answer whether the author of the question whether the answer was satisfactory. So the question was asked by Claudio Izarre. I hope I am pronouncing it right. And I hope it was satisfactory. So please feel free to follow up on the chat if you have any other questions. Angela, you also mentioned that you would like to comment on the previous discussion. So if you would like to add a few words from yourself, you're very welcome to do so.
Yes. In the meantime, I had also the sentence made by Francesca Pea. She said, financial viability and cost and social value are two different things. A project may be not immediately profitable, but still generate broad public benefit. Why I say this? Because it's quite obvious that hydrogen buses are more costly than diesel buses and electric buses. The question that we have to ask ourselves are two. One is, will the cost of buses go down? My answer is yes, of course. If you produce thousands and thousands of hydrogen buses, the cost will be comparable with diesel engine or electric buses. Then we have to look in the future, not at the present. The second answer is, does these buses make some public improvement on the quality of the life? Yes, of course. Are these buses making improvement on the battle against the CO2 emission? Yes. Then I know that they are very costly, but the social benefit is high to justify. I would say that this public money are very well used. That means that politicians or public authorities of the Rybnik are very good politicians because they take care, they look in the long term, they take care of the health of their population, of the health of the world. In Europe, 500,000 people dies for pollution. Then if in my city I will have transport public, less pollutant, I will be more than happy. It's more costly, okay. I would be happy to pay this difference because I have more, I have very good quality of the air and quality of my life. I have more other argument to say, but just these two. Then if Diana, if you would like to discuss, we can even phone or exchange mails. Okay, sorry, I stop here.
Yes, thank you. I think this discussion is very interesting and worth continuing also after this webinar. So I would encourage everybody interested to stay connected after. But in the meantime, I would like to ask another question from the chat. This is the question about.
Sorry, Zofia. Sorry, if I can refer to this whole Rybnik case.
Okay? Yes, of course. The floor is yours.
Very quickly. I was trying to mention that in the chat, and once again, Mrs. Diana, I really appreciate this insight. But as I mentioned on the comment, we do speak exactly the same truth. That we must subsidize all those technologies at the very early beginning. There is a trade-off. I fully understand. I reviewed this report in the meantime. I look at it. I fully agree with those insights. There is a lot of technical, economic, financial, political, social tensions within the decarbonization. I fully understand that possibly the public spending allocation within the domain of decarbonization of transportation could be more effectively allocated. I fully understand this concept. I had only 5 minutes to present a very complex issue. If I sound enthusiastic, it's because I'm very enthusiastic about the whole concept of energy transition and decarbonization. But even within my 5 minutes, as I mentioned the strong reliance on the subsidies, on the lack of infrastructure in Poland with only around 12 operating stations, with the high OPEX and high CAPEX costs, with all those issues that you mentioned. I just want to hear from you after all these discussions and all your amazing and very insightful comments. What would be your alternative approach here? Because again, in the report, we can read what are the potential pathways. But being so early at the beginning of the decarbonization of the transportation, being so against one technology over another, is it really worth pursuing? We try within those discussions, try to show different angles. I try to be objective, yet I heard unjustified criticism from your end, even though we speak exactly the same truth. We speak the same criticism, but maybe presented slightly different way. So if I may ask very politely, just tell me where I was wrong, or what was your question at the beginning? Because I didn't hear your question when you raised your hands and you said, I have so much to criticize. What exactly? The high subsidization, the high OPEX cost, lack of infrastructure, the contamination of the fuel and impurities that cause the damages of the fuel stack, that reliability of those technologies is very low because of the initial phase, like where I was wrong and why you decided to outbreak those opinions so openly.
Let me jump in here with a lot of respect to our speakers today and also all the participants of today's event. We still have some technical questions from the chat to be answered. And I believe this conversation should be finalized outside the webinar. And this is also our kind request here. So Zofia, if you would like to present the technical question from the chat, I believe we have some experts to answer this question.
Yes, of course. I think another very interesting question from the beginning of the webinar. It is also quite long, so I will share my screen for everybody to see. It's about the streams of water in electrolysis plant. In big electrolysis plants, if the feed water comes from public water supply network and is filtered, demineralized or treated by reverse osmosis, the secondary streams are generated. So reject water concentrate and filter residues. So based on our experts' experience, how are these streams managed in similar projects? What parameters are considered critical in the environmental assessment? And what are the usual solutions? Recirculation or neutralization? Would anybody like to answer this very technical and thorough question, I think?
And the author is also Claudio Zaria. So maybe Claudio, if you would like to also build more on this question, if you like, you can also turn your mic on.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you again. I was in Kassel. It was wonderful, and I learned a lot about hydrogen. But this is a real question because, as I presented, CBU is planning to have such a hydrogen production plant, about 100 megawatt, and this is financed by the government program. And the question is that now we are on the step to discuss with Environmental Protection Agency from CBU in order to approve this project. And this was one of the barrier in this project. We already discussed all the solution. I've heard that in other countries, as Germany, the authorities are not so critical regarding the hydrogen in order to do the easiest way to approve kind of this project, like pilot projects. And in our country, this was a big problem. And as I said, one of the solutions is to have a big tank of residual water, and then to purify this water and so on. But no, so this is the problem we have now. We have to face this now.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudio.
Yeah.
During the
electrolysis process, maybe some of other substances like resins or other substances are added to the water, and this is why they are aware how it will be with the water after this process. If it can be diverse to rivers, or I don't know, to sewage or like this.
So it's not the simple question.
Maybe it's a more technical question. I will try to solve it through email, or I will put in an email with all the participants and so on.
We will try to connect you also with the German stakeholders. Maybe it will be the easiest way to find the answer to this
maybe
specific question.
This is only 100 megawatts. But, I saw the project in Hamburg Hafen, and maybe they already solved this problem.
Okay, so the PRHyUS project is all about the knowledge exchange. So yeah, we'll be happy to support you with this exchanges after the event. And with at this point, I would like to really kindly thank to all the speakers for today's meeting. Ander, who is already gone for other commitments, but also Mr. Alfonso from Campania region, the lead partner of PRHyUS project, our speakers from Good Practices session, Mr. Brushiwo, Ms. Cecilia Pozzo, Mr. Nick Dipal, and also Angelo Moreno. I believe that also with the presentation from Francesca, you learn more about how we will assess the potential of local and regional authorities when it comes to hydrogen investments. I believe that this event is just the start of conversation of the future of hydrogen market, hydrogen implementation in Europe, in different European region. I also hope that you will leave this event with some useful insights about the hydrogen in Europe, energy transition. Our aim with this event was to highlight the importance of cooperation and discussing between different regions, between different stakeholders. And I believe we achieved this goal within our last 2.5 hours. Thank you once again from the side of our association, from the side of PRHyUS project for the participation, for the presentation. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you in the future PRHyUS events. During the registration, some of you marked that you are interested in PRHyUS newsletter, so we will be happy to share with you the new issue of the newsletter in the coming months. So stay tuned for the news from hydrogen European market and our PRHyUS project. Thank you very much once again, and yes, see you in the future.
Bye. Thank you for organizing the webinar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for the questions and responses. Thank you.
Bye.